Our story begins in the shadow of a fallen empire. After the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, the Italian peninsula fractured into a patchwork of warring tribes and fading cities. In the midst of this chaos, the Christian church, centered in Rome, endured. No longer just a persecuted faith, it had become a force of unity, tradition, and spiritual refuge in a crumbling world.
Power, conflict, security. Who really pulls the strings? Welcome to Chameleon, where we cut through the noise and dissect the forces shaping our world. I'm Leandro Trevisol, an expert in international relations and security studies from London Met. And in this space, we don't just report events, we question them. Who benefits from war? What are the real stakes behind diplomacy? And is security ever truly about protection or control? If you're ready to challenge narratives, expose hidden agendas, and rethink global power structures, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
By the 8th century, tensions flared between the Pope and the Byzantine Emperor over iconoclasm, the destruction of holy images. While the East sought to erase icons, Rome stood firm in defense of tradition. The Pope's defiance risked isolation from the very empire that was supposed to protect him. Meanwhile, the Merovingians, rulers of the Franks, had become kings in name only. The real power lay with Papal the Short, mayor of the palace, strategist, and son of Charles Martel. He sought legitimacy, and the Pope sought protection.
I will endorse Pepin's claim to the throne, effectively ending the Merovingian line. In return, Pepin will have to defend Rome.
Pope Zachary made a momentous decision to transform the faith into a state. The Eastern Roman Empire could no longer protect the Roman Church, and the Western view of Christianity was drifting further from that of the East. At the same time, the Kingdom of the Lombards stood ready to seize the last remnants of land still under Eastern control. It was clear that Pope Zachary needed a strong ally, and he found one in Papal the Short. Meanwhile, from the East, an even greater threat was rising. Following Muhammad's death, Islam was swiftly expanding its borders, offering a powerful new challenge to Christianity.
You may be wondering, seriously? He's about to delve into the Merovingian bloodline, pure fiction. And yes, you would be absolutely right. I just want to draw on the symbolism. The Roman Church was breaking away from Jesus' teachings and attempting to build its empire not in heaven, but here in our world. The Pope had his justifications. The Lombards were poised to invade. The Eastern Roman Empire had turned against the use of sacred images and icons, and the Islamic world was rising with unstoppable force. Faced with a crumbling order, the Pope seized the faith itself, not to safeguard heaven, but to forge a kingdom here on earth.
As Papal the Short defeated the Lombards in the Pope's favor, the Roman Church had crossed a threshold. It was no longer only a spiritual community, it was a temporal power, owning land, commanding armies, and striking political alliances. Over time, the Papal States expanded across much of central Italy, stretching from the Tyrrhenian Sea to the Adriatic coast. The Pope became known as a prince of the Church, and a literal prince among secular rulers. Through appointed governors and clerical administrators, the Church collected taxes, dispensed justice, and organized trade. The strategy was simple. Since the time of Pope Zachary, the Roman Church recognized the need for a military force. After nearly 40 years, it sought an ideal partnership to provide that support. The Church founded in the Frankish kingdom, which it saw as the continuation of the Roman legacy. This alliance between the Church and the Franks laid the groundwork for what would later be revived as the Holy Roman Empire, a union of military power and religious authority united against any who opposed it. Rome slowly revived as a center of pilgrimage, learning, and art. But with earthly power came earthly problems. Rival noble families, foreign invasions, and internal corruption often plagued the papal government.
In 846 AD, a pivotal event profoundly impacted the Roman Church. After years of raiding the southern coast of Sicily, Saracen forces launched a bold incursion toward Rome. They sacked the old saint, Peter's Basilica, and the Basilica of St. Paul, marking a moment of deep vulnerability for the heart of Christendom. In response, Pope Leo IV ordered the construction of the Leonine Wall, which was completed by 852 AD. The wall enclosed the Vatican Hill and established the Civitas Leonina, a fortified district designed to protect St. Peter's Basilica, and its surrounding area from future attacks. The Duchy of Rome was not yet the centre of Christianity, but with the rise of Islam and the loss of Jerusalem and key Byzantine territories, Pope Leo IV's actions, especially the fortification of the basilicas, marked a turning point, solidifying Rome's growing spiritual and political centrality in Christendom.
By fortifying the main basilicas in Rome, Pope Leo IV initiated the concept of territorial administration, contributing to the development of Christianity not only as a religion, but also as a political state. In doing so, he also played a key role in defending Rome against Islamic incursions from the south. Between 850 and 1040 AD, Rome became increasingly wealthy through extensive land ownership and the consolidation of ecclesiastical power. The formation of the Papal States meant that the papacy came to control vast rural estates across Italy, particularly in Lazio, Umbria, and Tuscany. Local peasants worked these lands and paid rents in kind, such as grain, oil, and livestock, or contributed labor in exchange for protection and the right to cultivate the land. Across Christendom, Christians, especially clergy and monastic communities, were obliged to give a portion of their income or agricultural produce to the Holy See. These tithes were collected locally or sent from distant regions, reinforcing Rome's central spiritual authority. Kings, emperors, and wealthy nobles frequently donated land or money to the church in order to gain spiritual favor or political legitimacy. Notable imperial patrons such as Charlemagne and Otto I made substantial contributions to the papacy, helping to strengthen its temporal and religious influence. Pilgrimage to Rome also played a vital economic role. Pilgrims visiting sacred sites brought direct income to the city and its churches through offerings, accommodation, and the purchase of religious services and relics. Additionally, bishops and abbots who managed papal territories were required to pay tribute or fees to the Roman Curia, reinforcing hierarchical control and generating further revenue. Though limited, the papacy also exercised the right to mint coins in Rome during certain periods, particularly under Carolingian and Ottonian imperial support, asserting its economic and symbolic authority.
The transition was complete, from faith to kingdom. Ironically, the Pope came to be regarded as the King of Kings. How far would the Church go to defend itself? It built a state, collected taxes, sold its services, developed diplomacy, and even issued its own currency. The formation of the Papal States established a lasting power structure, sustained by spiritual monopoly and the imposition of God's will through temporal force.
The territorial power of the Pope expanded dramatically during the Middle Ages. By this time, much of central and southern Italy had come under the control of the Papal States, establishing the Pope not only as a spiritual leader, but also a significant political force. But in 1054, a defining moment reshaped the Christian world, the Great Schism. This pivotal event split Christianity into two major branches: the Western Church, led by the Pope in Rome, and the Eastern Orthodox churches, guided by various patriarchs, most notably the Patriarch of Constantinople. What had once been a unified Christian faith now stood divided by theology, politics, language, and centuries of tension.
The term Catholic appears as early as 107 AD in a letter by Ignatius of Antioch, who wrote, "Wherever the bishop appears, there let the people be, as wherever Jesus Christ is, there is the Catholic Church." After the split, the Western Church began to be increasingly referred to as the Roman Catholic Church to distinguish it from the Eastern Orthodox Church.
This pivotal event gave the Roman Church a broader and more distinct identity, leading it to define itself as the Roman Catholic Church, a name that emphasized both its universality, Catholic, and its central authority in Rome. Over the next 272 years, the Papal States not only enriched the Roman Catholic Church spiritually and politically, but also became a hub of economic activity. Through the collection of taxes, trade revenues, land rents, and tithes, the Papal States amassed wealth that funded cathedrals, universities, infrastructure, and patronage of the arts. Key cities like Rome, Bologna, and Ancona became centers of commerce, administration, and religious influence. For nearly 1,000 years, the Papal States sustained a complex economy, rooted in agriculture, bolstered by pilgrimage routes, and supported by a growing bureaucracy. This financial power helped build the Catholic Church's global reach, reinforcing its authority not only in Europe, but across the expanding Christian world. But the glory would not last forever. Between 1798 and 1809, the Papal States began to crumble, not by heresy or rebellion, but under the iron will of a single man, Napoleon Bonaparte. As the cannons of empire roared across Europe, the Pope's territories were carved away, piece by piece, until the once mighty domain of the Church was no longer ruled by the cross, but by the sword.
From Peter to an empire, a state, the Papal States